here with Lisa Bain of Lindblad Expeditions, National Geographic. Lisa, thank you for joining us today.
I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
It's always great. We've known each other for a long time and are huge fans of you and the company you represent. So thank you for coming back. So tell me a little bit first, just so that people understand, Lindblad Expeditions, National Geographic. That sounds like one, two, or three things. So tell me about the relationship or what's going on there.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked, because that is really an important thing for people to understand how we work. So Lindblad Expeditions was founded back in the 60s, right? We were the very first company who went to Antarctica. We were out exploring. Lars Erik Lindblad was an explorer in his own right. And he was always such a huge fan of the National Geographic Society. And so was Sven Lindblad. You know, the magazines, that's the hallmark of exploration, right? When you wanted to see the world, you went to the pages of National Geographic. And about 14, I think it's 15 years ago this year, we went to the National Geographic and said, look, we're going to these remarkable places around the planet. You're sending scientists and researchers there. This seems like the perfect marriage of bringing our ships, the way that we access these places, and your scientists with their knowledge and their passion together so that we can work together to showcase these remarkable places. It also allowed us to work with our Lindblad National Geographic Fund, where we raised over $19 million now, which goes back into the places we explore. We're great believers at Lindblad in that if we're here, we need to be ensuring that we're protecting these places for future generations. And that Lindblad National Geographic Fund goes towards supporting those fellows and scientists in the field so that they can do their work and all around the places that we explore. So really it allows our guests to travel in the company of remarkable men and women who are passionate about these places, share their knowledge and their passion, and return being richer for the experience.
That's excellent. And I think, there's nothing like it, you know, and whether it's scientists or photographers or others, you have a lot of uniqueness.
A lot of ologists.
Yeah, right. All right, so let's get to something I kind of feel a little is funny, but not so funny. Is I've often heard you say that cruising is a dirty word.
Yes.
Now, some people I would say would beg to differ that you're in the cruising business, but tell us why you say that and what that means to you.
Yeah, look, there are a lot of people out there that hear the word cruise and they straight away go, oh, cruising's not for me, right? They are out in Africa exploring, or they're bikers, they're active, they want to be able to touch, to feel, to smell, to be a part of the destination. And so they see a cruise, that word cruise, as being disconnected from the places they're going to. And for us, we don't cruise, we explore. So even if between one place A to place B, we want you out there on the bow. We want to be with our Nat Geo photographers, certified photo instructors. We want to be with our ornithologists. We want you learning every aspect of the place, both above and below the waves. And so for us, the ship is our way to get you there, because usually the places we're going, Antarctica, the Arctic, there are no other ways to get there. And you can't drive from A to B. So this is the way for us to access and then to share it. So that word cruise for us is kind of a dirty word, because we explore. And I would say that, we were talking about this earlier, right? A lot of folks who don't like the word cruise, they're also not the kind of guest who's going to go stay at an all-inclusive somewhere, right? It's too big, it's 3,000 people, you've got to walk miles to get where you want to go. Well, they need to think of expedition, small ship, in that same way of the hotels or the experiences they're having on land. This is intimate exploration in places that are far removed from the madding crowds, and this is really the only way to experience it.
Yeah, I love that, because I think that is a problem. A lot of people have that stereotype. It's 5,000 people on a big ship and noisy and crazy and water parks and things like that. And that is not
what we do.
What you do.
No, not at all.
And I think that, and you don't have to be super outdoorsy or a hardcore adventure person to really get a lot out of what you guys offer.
No, that's true, because it's all about, we realized back in the very beginnings, this is not a one-size-fits-all, right? So you get onto a Lindblad expedition, our biggest ship's 148 guests, our smallest is 28 guests on the Amazon, but every day there's options. So, you may be with your family. One person may want to go and do that long Zodiac safari. Someone else might want to go and do the short hike with the photographer. Someone else might want to do that longer walk, which is more of a cultural interaction. So each night we meet and we have these what we call our recap, and we're famous for our recaps. That's where we come together as a community and we talk about what are your opportunities to see tomorrow? What are the options? Now, here's the really important thing with an expedition. We always have plan A through Z, because to the places we go, if we're in Antarctica and a pod of killer whales are wave surfing a seal, we're stopping that ship, because that is an experience that few people on this planet have ever seen in action. So, we will divert for the amazing experiences, because that's what gives you the goosebumps, right? That's what's life-changing. And then we'll go on our merry way and we'll get back onto what we had planned to do. But the best days on an expedition, when all our plans go to hell in a handbasket, right? Because that's when the magic happens. That's when the things that you can't plan for happen.
It means something amazing is going on.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's excellent. So you kind of touched on it, but tell me, what is a day in the life like on? I mean, I know it differs by destination, and I know it differs by day, because you kind of go where the action is, or what the weather maybe allows you. What is a somewhat day in the life? Yeah,
so somewhat day in the life, I guess, and I'll pick Galapagos. That's a good place to kind of start, because it's such a perfect first expedition trip for people. You're going to get up. You're going to have a couple of options for getting up. There's always a speaker in your room that you can turn off and on, depending on if you're an early riser. Because if during the night we see something, we're going to say, ladies and gentlemen, off the bow right now. So you have the option to get up. And we'll also do an early morning and say, this morning we have an early morning walk for those of you who would like to get up and go with us now. Early morning coffee is being served in the lounge. For those who don't want that, they leave their speaker off. And then the main announcement is made closer to 7:30, 8 o'clock. And they join the main group in the dining room for breakfast. So there's always your breakfast first, and then you're going to go out in the mornings exploring, and that might be a zodiac safari, it might be a photographic walk, might be snorkeling. Galapagos, we do a lot of snorkeling. And then we'll come back to the ship, we'll have lunch, we'll regather, and then we'll go out again in the afternoon, and you'll pick a different experience in the afternoon. And then you come back in the evening as a group for that recap. We talk about, well, what did we see today? Let's interpret that. What are we going to get the opportunity to see tomorrow? Maybe do a little bit of a talk on the history of the region. How were the Galapagos found? Who has explored there in the past? Why are they important to preserve and protect for the next generation? And then we'll go to dinner, and we'll have a great meal, always sustainably sourced, local produce to tie in those local flavors. And then everyone will be like, yay, I'm going to bed, I'm exhausted, I want to do this again tomorrow, rinse, repeat, right? So, it is about taking advantage of every moment. You are very seldom in your guest room. And honestly, if you are in your guest room and something remarkable is happening outside, we're knocking on the door, we're like, are you okay?
Is it, you gotta come.
You gotta come. So, the day is led by the experiences outside, by the weather. Antarctica, it's ice flow, it's weather conditions, right? If an area we wanted to go to is now iced in today, we know from our over 50 years of experience, there's another bay around here that we can approach, because we know that will probably be opened if the wind is going this way. So, years and years of experience counts. It means that we know where to go, we know where to find all the best opportunities to find wildlife. And this is what's important with an expedition. Wildlife is not animatronic. It's not always on Iceberg A at 2 o'clock on a Thursday, right?
Cue the wildlife.
Cue the wildlife. That's not how it happens. So it is about taking advantage of every moment.
So before we leave the Galapagos, I would be remiss in not giving you an opportunity to talk about one of my favorite topics, is your new ship.
Yes.
In the Galapagos.
Yes.
Tell us about that and what that like itinerary and the ship is about.
So we have 2 ships in Galapagos year round. So as I said, we were the very first company in the Galapagos back in 1967. Actually, Lars-Erik Lindblad paid the wages of the first 2 park wardens to help ensure that park was established. He was so passionate about this place being protected. And so we have the 2 ships. The newest is only 48 guests. She's the National Geographic Islander 2, all suite. The smallest room on board is over 300 square feet. And then you have our named suites, which are over 500 square feet. Beautiful bathrooms, big picture windows. She has a dedicated dock at the back, which lowers down, allows you to walk straight out into your Zodiac. We also use that as a swim area that you can leave the ship from the back. She has an expedition mudroom, so you can hang up all your gear, your wetsuits, your snorkel gear, which is all included. And your photography gear to keep it acclimatized. You have a dedicated expedition hub where guests can go and talk about our expedition team for small group presentations, a photography area. You have 3 dining options. You have this beautiful cafe on the back, you have a more formal dining area, you have the top deck which has a pool and an outdoor barbecue.
It sounds pretty luxurious for an expedition.
Yeah, and I think that's something people have always, to an extent, not been able to correlate in their mind, right? Expedition and luxury. And look, I think that you've got to understand that for us, will always be the luxury of the experience. The luxury of access comes first, but it doesn't mean you can't come back to a beautiful stateroom, to amazing cuisine, but very casual. I mean, there's no jackets, no ties. I mean, I always kind of laugh. The first day, everyone looks very pretty. They've got their makeup on, their hair is lovely, they're all color coordinated. By day 3, it's lip gloss and a scrunchie.
Right.
And that's how it should be,
Yeah.
right? Because it's what's out there that's important. So all of that stuff from home just melts away, and the place where you are takes precedent. And that's why you travel. You travel for that.
Yes.
And so, you know, we can have this beautiful ship, and that's the 48 guests, and then we have a 96 guest. But as you know, in Galapagos, every day you go out, it's in small group. And so it's that intimate wildlife experience that people find it hard to understand until they see it.
Yeah.
Because it's both above and below the water. You can snorkel with sea lions, and they're here, right?
Yeah.
And they're doing flips in front of you and trying to steal the flippers off your feet. And then you're on the beach and they're coming and laying down right near you. So it is a remarkable place, and somewhere that, you know, we have a lot of our multi-generation families travel to.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. So without asking you to pick your favorite child, other than the island or two, what might be another great ship that is either stationed in a place or moves around or repositions or whatever the case is? Give us one more example of one of your favorites.
Goodness. Well, I have fallen in love with Antarctica. And it's hard to explain to people how it gets into your very fiber. I think people talk about Africa and how you feel like you're home when you go to Africa. Antarctica has a similar feeling, like you've been there before, and that it's important and that you need to understand it. And you travel across this really amazing piece of water to get there, the Drake Passage, which people get scared about, and they shouldn't be. If you kind of close your eyes and think about it, when you step foot on the ship and you go down the Beagle Channel and you turn right into the Drake, you are in the footsteps of Ross and Shackleton and all these amazing explorers. You are stepping into this expanse of water that joins 2 amazing oceans, right? You've got the main Atlantic and the Pacific, and then you've got the water around Antarctica. So this cold water meets warm water. You have this amazing upswelling of nutrients and wildlife. There's whales and bird life and albatross off the back of the ship. And so you are building this anticipation, and then you see your first iceberg. And it's really tiny. It's kind of the size of this building, right? And you go, oh, it's an iceberg. And we all go, yeah, it's an iceberg.
Technically, yes.
Technically, yeah. And then you see something that's double this size. And you see your first little penguin. You're so excited. You run from one side of the ship to the other. And then you see icebergs that start to be the size of a city block, and then the size of a block in Manhattan. And they just get bigger, and the anticipation grows. You're seeing larger number of seals. You're starting to see larger numbers of penguins. And then these black mountains rise up out of the ocean in front of you, and each one connected by a glacier, and the color is just so vibrant. And it's that moment of arrival into Antarctica that sets the stage for the experience. And I would say to anyone, look, our ships are built to go there. From a safety standpoint, the new Endurance and Resolution with those cool pointy noses, they're built specifically for that crossing, right? So, and we've had rougher seas in other areas of the ocean. So Drake gets a bad rap. It can be as flat as this table. But don't rob yourself of that moment of wonder when you arrive into Antarctica. It's one of the few places that I've stood on the back of the ship leaving, looked to my left and right, and had people crying because they realized just what an epic journey they've been on, and they're leaving. Right? Did they really do as much as they could have while they were there? It leaves you with that kind of feeling. So I'd say Antarctica, and we have people who've been multiple times, but don't rob yourself of that arrival and that departure feeling that, you know, you've done it. And do it on a ship that's intimate and small, that gives you that access and the ability to be flexible and to really explore it.
Well, and I like it because your ships are the right size that you can go in places that others can't, or
Right.
you might be able to, you know, get access to experiences down there, or reposition quickly to depending on the wildlife or whatever. I think that's a really
It's
good
really
thing.
important. I think and look, the word expedition is used by a lot of folks these days. That expedition word has kind of become a much broader usage. For us, an expedition is all those things that we do. It's the Zodiac safaris, it's the kayaking, the paddleboard, the cross-country skiing in Antarctica. It is being in the water snorkeling, and that's all included. I mean, it's not you have to pay to go do this. It is all included. It's part of the experience.
So tell me about other places. You're an amazing storyteller. I have been fortunate to have been to Antarctica. You took me right back there just by your descriptions and the feeling. So awesome. Tell us about some of the other places that Lindblad Expeditions takes you
Yeah,
to.
look, we're all over the world, so it's always hard. The Amazon, being with only 28 guests and going up into the Pucaya Samaria Reserve, way up. Right, it's a bit like that old movie with Humphrey Bogart, African Queen, you know, where the rainforest is dripping onto the ship, and you can reach out and touch the trees and the howler monkeys, and you're way up nestled in the rainforest, which is what the Amazon is about. It's not the big wide expansive river. It's about those little tributaries that create this amazing river. And these tributaries are also the highways and byways of the people who live there. So you get to watch the cultural interactions of them going to school, going to work, doing their commerce on these little areas up through the Pucaya Samaria Reserve. And so for me, it's that interplay between people and wildlife, and how important this jungle is to all of us, and protecting it. You know, what happens there happens to all of us.
Everywhere, yeah.
So certainly the Amazon. I would say one that always surprises people is Alaska. Right, everyone thinks of Alaska on these big ships, and it's, you know, you go and see some of the key ports and you do a bit of shopping, and oh look, there's bear. For us, Alaska is, and I used to say we avoided other people like the plague, which probably isn't the best words to use these days, but we avoid other people. And our ships are designed to get in these tiny little intimate waterways where we don't see other people, right? This is about so many bald eagles in the tree that they look like Christmas ornaments. It's walking through the forest and being able to put your hand next to a grizzly bear footprint and look at how big these guys are, seeing where they scratch on trees to leave scent. You know, getting down with one of our team and looking at a botanist and realizing beneath all that grass are these tiny little carnivorous plants and orchids and hundreds of colors that you would just walk past. You know, it's having our underwater dive team in, and then bringing back footage of these amazing sea anemones that stand on 3 or 4 foot poles, and they look like daisies waving in the water, and they're right beneath us on the ship. So it's taking a destination that people think they know and showing them that it is so much more special than they think. I think that's what's really remarkable about Alaska.
Yeah, I think that it's fascinating too that it's kids. Obviously, multi-gen is big for you guys, and the kids. I remember you telling a story, and I love the glass bottom zodiacs because the kids can also collect the plankton and then learn more about. I mean, there's so much. I want to do that, and I'm not a kid, so I think for young or old, young at heart or not.
Yeah, well, our Global Explorers program was put together with National Geographic Education. And so it's for all of our guests up to 18 years of old, but you're right, all the parents want to participate, they want to get in on the action. And that's on every trip that goes to Baja, Galapagos, Alaska, and Antarctica. We don't even need to know, as soon as their age goes in, they're signed up. But that program was designed to help them truly appreciate and understand what they're seeing. And there's field educators that are there to help them. We do scientific experiments. They take plankton samples. They get to learn to drive a Zodiac. Scariest thing in the world is being a Zodiac driven by a 5-year-old. They get to look under the video microscope, you know, plankton. And one of the fun ones up in Alaska, actually, we build a glacier out of ice cream and cookies, right? So we lay down the field of boulders with the cookies. You put the ice cream at the top and you tilt it. And you can visually see how a glacier will push those stones away and create that U-shaped valley. And so when you're doing that and the valley's there, right, that's a whole different experience.
Yeah.
And then they get to eat it, which is even better.
Even bonus. Which is another reason I want to be in the program.
There you go. So, but they get a great field notebook, and that is something that they can take home and remember forever. Because it has their personal notes, their journaling, their little illustrations they do. It's really allowing them to become explorers in their own right. And so, yeah, we have lots of multi-generation families.
Another important guest I know, and that you kind of cater to a little bit, is the solo traveler.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we have a lot of solo guests, and I think it's really important to understand that on an expedition, it's very different from a cruise, right? Often when people go on a cruise, they're traveling as a couple. It's for more romantic reasons, right? So they're not necessarily going to be wanting to have that third wheel at their table at dinner. For us, our guests are about the community. They want to know their fellow guests. They want to get to understand them. The person sitting across the table from you may be as interesting as the destination we're going to. So that's as much of the journey as the place itself. And so we have dedicated solo cabins on every ship, specifically for our solo guests. But we also have a share program. So if you want to get to know someone of the same sex, we'll help team you up with somebody that you share with. And so, there's lots of options for solo guests, and they do get wrapped into the camaraderie immediately. Honestly, sometimes when you travel as a solo guest on your ships, you find yourself going, oh, I need a moment down. I actually want to be solo for a second, right? Because everybody wants to include you.
Yeah.
So a lot of solo clientele on our ships.
We have some amazing solo traveler clients at Peak Travel, and we've actually had one or two who have been on a Lindblad expedition, met another solo traveler, and now they're girlfriend, they're fun friends, and they travel together, and they've subsequently gone on other Lindblad expeditions together.
Yeah.
So it's great.
It works.
Good travel companionship.
Exactly.
So we're in this kind of epic time where, after a couple of years of being taken away one of the things we love the most, and traveling and seeing the world, there's a lot of pent-up demand. I hate to say that phrase, but I don't know how else to explain it. So your ships are small. Booking ahead is going to be important. What would you say to our clients and other guests who are looking to travel with you?
Yeah, I think, look, there was this misconception that coming out of COVID, people were going to have all this space that they could jump on, right? Because, and there'd be all these savings, and that's not the case. I mean, this pent-up demand, we haven't been able to travel for 2.5, some of us 3 years. And so we have so many people through our advisor community, through you guys, looking for space, and us not being able to give them space when they want because of the demand. When you're talking about a 28 guest ship in the Amazon, it goes very quickly. Even our 126 guests for Antarctica, that is an intimate experience, and so you need to be planning. So I would say, for anyone who's looking to do small ship expedition in the next 23, even in 24, now is the time to be looking at your dates, working with your advisor, figuring out, okay, what do I want? Let's get that on hold. Let's get it deposited so I know I'm locked in for those dates. And if we don't have the date you want, we've got our great pre-book program.
Yeah.
So your advisors basically give us a call. They say, look, my clients want to do Antarctica January of 25. We just put their name in a placeholder. There's no cost, but it means that they get first dibs on that space when it comes available. So people need to be using those tools now with their advisor to lock in space. But anyone looking to travel in 23, now they need to be booking right now. We've got some very small but limited space left for the end of 22 because of some of the changes still happening in the world. I think a lot of people have forgotten that there's still places that aren't open to us. So there's little windows where stuff comes available, but apart from that, there's not a lot left for 22. So 23 now is get on it.
Yeah, it's already
right
getting
now.
taken. And I like it too, because a lot of the places you go, and not just the places, but the experiences you offer, whether it's the Arctic or Antarctica or Baja with the whales, or New Zealand or Kimberly Coast.
Oh my
I
gosh,
really want to do
Kimberly,
Kimberly
yeah.
Coast. Is because it is small, but because many of our clients, we've been fortunate to take them through the Wanderlist program, we know they're high on their list.
Yeah.
So in cases like this where we can offer such an intimate experience, it's kind of nice to earmark it and lock it in, because otherwise it won't be there. And
Right.
It's getting snatched up. So.
Right, exactly.
Well, Lisa, thank you, of course, for sharing your story and Lindblad Expedition story with our peak travel clients and guests, and of course so many things on the bucket list to do. Kimberly Coast, New Zealand is now open. Antarctica and Arctica, of course, are on a lot of people's wander
Very much
lists.
so,
We appreciate you sharing it with us. Longtime Virtuoso partner as well. So we get some extra benefits and perks with you.
Certainly do.
So we appreciate that as always.
Always a pleasure. Thanks for having
Thanks.
us.